like, I won't do that. How was she doing that? And you would have had deep conditioning from earlier on to be like, maybe a lot of rules, maybe a lot of, again, going to schools where you're like, this is how you act, a lot of control over you. So in your desire to people please, which is extremely big for you guys, your people pleasing tendencies came out full tilt very early on, and you were like, I will be the good girl. I will do as you say. It's okay. It's okay if it's a no for me. I'll do it anyways. And you became into these perfectionist, people pleasing adults who again are like, why is my life not how I want my life to be? Why do I not feel alive and lit up and happy? Why am I doing all of these things that are shoulds in my life? And now that I learned about what a should is, and I'm in these shoulds, and they are not sexy shoulds, and they are full on hell no's, but here I am, a life full of them. Right? Okay, so I was pretty and all the boys wanted to go out with me in primary school. It felt like too much for the little introverted girl that I was. Ooh, very interesting. Yeah, so your natural magnetism of bringing the party to you, right, is how you guys are. You bring the party to you, was there, and you're like, I don't think I'm okay with this, right? So it was a no for you, but to build up your confidence, I'm curious if you had a lot of confidence building in your abilities and belief instilled in you, right? Remember when we talked about belief? Belief is so big for you guys. If people weren't believing in you, you were likely a shell of yourself and not open to experiences. That could have been a hell no for you, obviously, but not open to experiences that were leading with desire. The church shamed us and tried to pry into our sex life. Oh my gosh. I was so repressed by religion, called a whore if my skirt was above the knee, didn't realize half of it till I met my husband. Wow. Oh my gosh. It is so incredible the amount of conditioning, wow, that has happened in our lives that we aren't even aware of, right? That you just move through and you're like, that was terrible, but like how it actually has formed you today. So going back to the people pleasers, if you are a people pleaser and you have become Miss Perfect, Miss Perfectionist, Miss People Pleasing, I will do all of the things as you say, yes, 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 right? You allow yourself to, you've been formed and developed into these people-pleasing tendencies because you were rewarded for that, and you were seeking the validation, just like the other side of the pendulum was seeking the validation of the yeses, of the feeling alive. You were seeking validation of somebody else seeing you, right, of like responding back as you were responding to them. You were seeking that validation. What is being sought out after here in the people-pleasing ways is the belief, right? So if you were not instilled with depth of confidence of who you really are as a child, you likely became a people pleaser, right? All of a sudden your parents were like, well, honey, do it this way. This is how you're supposed to do it. Sit still and do your homework. Oh, you got an A? Well, how about we go for that A+, right? You could do better than that. You're like, okay, because you're seeking the confidence, you're seeking the belief. Somebody suddenly believes in you. Oh my God, you'll do whatever it takes for them to believe in you again, because that belief feels so good. But really, what you're doing is living a life of shoulds that are not lighting you up. And you're going into these people-pleasing tendencies in order for you to feel, again, alive, for you to feel happy, for you to feel confident. So what happens for both of you guys on either of these sides, and what happens in your business is you're doing all the things you should be doing, but nothing's happening, and you're not actually tapped into any sense of desire. So you were likely the people that in your teenage years were doing the good girl things. Maybe you had your good friends, but you never actually went into the zone of pleasure. You were very shy about pleasure. You were very like, I won't go into that zone, right? Tiptoe and stay on the safe side over here. You played it very safe. And when you play it safe, you shut down your sacral. Your sacral's like, but I want the thing, and you're like, no, that's not what we do as good girls, right? That's not how we show up. That's not how we act. That's not how we behave. That's not what we do or what we say. So you allowed yourself to, you were developed into this person that completely was not locked into their sacral at all. You completely shut it down at such an early age that likely right now you're like, I don't know what to do or how to show up or how to be or how to express myself. And this self-expression is desiring to tap out of you. I didn't play it safe. Okay, let me catch up here. Yep, I've worked through shifting so much of it shows up deeper layers and living into the shoulds. Yes, this happened to me more as an adult than as a child. So I swung back and forth. I'd get tired of playing Miss Perfect and then would rebel and attract attention in healthy ways. Totally. I didn't play it safe. So yeah, so what happens, right? So you have these two elements of you. Maybe you went more one side, maybe you went to the other side, or maybe you were swinging in between and you went back and forth and back and forth. But neither place brought you satisfaction. Neither place actually brought you the things you desired in your life, right? You were seeking validation and fulfilling desire in temporary moments that were actually full of frustration. And then you'd get more frustrated. And then you'd continue the cycle and continue the cycle. And okay, you're super frustrated on this side. Let's swing to this side. Let's see what it has for me. You're swinging back and forth, and both are leaving you empty, frustrated, and full of shame and doubt. I show up more lately as my true self, less people-pleasing, and face so many criticisms, yes. And then later in life, the confusion of how to live in pleasure and be a mom. So much taboo. Oh my gosh, it just never ends, right? Repressed good girl, people pleasing as a teen, and it just got worse early in my marriage. And now I'm seeing all of the shoulds that I never wanted. And so I feel like no one will recognize me as I go with my sacred desires. Oh my gosh. But the thing is that the rebirth of you guys is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Seems people in my current world do not appreciate my true self. So I've lowered my voice again. Oh, okay. So we want to amplify this and we want to start shifting this into true desire and what it actually looks like and feels like for you. So in order for you to begin to tap in, tune in, and begin to fully express this voice with confidence and to break the cycle of avoidance here, we need to begin to trust that pleasure is safe for us. That leading from a place of pleasure and desire is safe, that we are safe to do so. What we're doing is recreating the safety that we actually never got from the people-pleasing tendencies, right? Because it was never really safe. It was never actually good enough. You were never actually satisfied, right? You were always being taught to be someone else other than yourself in order for people to be happy, and you were taught that you needed to make people happy because they weren't happy, so they're projecting their unhappiness onto you for you to somehow figure out, fix, and do, and you did. And the other side, the promiscuous side, right, the ones where we're just like, I did my thing and I lived my life and whatever, are feeling empty and depleted and ashamed and doubtful in who they really are. So you have a fear of actually going back to that side of expressing things where people turn away from you and they don't love you anymore and they don't like you and they don't want to hear you and they don't want to see you and you're too much and you're too big and you show everything. And you make people mad and you hurt people in the process. So when we look at both of these sides, there's no safety in either of those. Both of the identities that you took on, whether you took on one or you took on both of those identities and went back and forth, provided zero safety and zero satisfaction, zero alignment. Zero alignment, that's what it was, right? There was no alignment in these processes for you. So in order to create the safety and the alignment, we have to begin to tap in now of actually creating that safety within ourselves. So what's so important for you guys to know and realize is that you hold all of the safety within you. You are the creator of safety. There will never be a person outside of you validating your safety for you, right? They can see you and they can cheer you on and they can feel good for you, right? And they can believe in you and your dreams, not their dreams for you. If they believe in you and your dreams, that's the belief system that you desire, right? That's somebody that's like, yes, I see you. I recognize you, like you're doing the thing. I love it. Be you, show up as you. Whereas other people will try to morph that and be like, well, that was okay, but like you shouldn't that show too much, right? You shouldn't really show up like that. Like congratulations, but there's something that's off, right? They're trying to, again, because they know that if you know that they're not happy, you will somehow change for them. You will somehow become that. So we have to allow yourself to recognize that you hold all safety. You are the safety inside of you. Your expression of your safety, of yourself, of your authenticity, of your power, of your truth, of your sexiness, of your desire, of your happiness is going to magnify for other people. But if you do not hold that safety, you will constantly go and repeat those patterns and those loops. So how do you create the safety? You begin to lead with your sacral in these tiny little ways. So that's why the exercise at the beginning of this call was so important for you to recognize where you're actually not lit up by. Oh my God, I'm actually not lit up by my sex life. I'm very frustrated there. Well, why? Because I'm not expressed. Because I'm afraid to be myself. Because pleasure and desire, I still feel shame within me. We need to start recognizing where the frustration lies and what the solution is. The solution is to begin self-pleasure. The solution is to begin exploring what pleasure looks like outside of that aspect of our relationship. How to create intimacy without sex, right? How do we begin to lead with desire and our wants and our needs and our connection without it becoming shameful or doubting ourselves in the process? So as you develop this, you will begin to see and recognize that the power that you're holding inside of you wants to come out. It's there, and it's safe to do so if you start to trust what those desires are. So when we look at this, we want to be removing this into zones of pleasure, sexual energy, life, and creativity, right? We want to look at these zones because you are the creator within your sacral, right? Are you really expressing and creating? Are you expressing yourself? Are you tapping into pleasure and that sexual energy for yourself? Are you allowing yourself to live? What it could mean to live is like, I'm going to the beach today, right? I am taking the day off and I am doing the thing. I want you to recognize how much shame comes up for that. Who you try to be when you go to the beach. Do you cover yourself up? Do you shame yourself for what you're wearing? Should you change because that's too much? Or are you just owning who you are? The more you own who you are and these simple little movements and moments of pleasure and want and desire, people around you will start to too. The power that you integrate with the belief in yourself, they start to latch onto. It will take a while and it will take practice, right? This is not going to happen at the snap of your fingers. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, I am aligned and I am powerful and I expect everybody is going to align with that too. And they're just going to see me and validate me for who I am today. No. So those voices that you've heard, the voices that you're hearing, the doubts that you're hearing, they will likely get amplified because they are testing you to see if you'll go back to your people-pleasing ways or if you rebel against it and see where else you're going to go and what else you're going to do and how else you're going to feel like you just screwed something up. The shame, right? So these patterns are going to come back up and surface for you. And this is where when we have our awareness of, yeah, but I hold the power and I hold the safety. And you begin to step into it by leaning in bit by bit by bit. You begin to open up the doors and opportunities for other people to see you and to come to you, for you to respond to you, rather than the people that doubt you, rather than the people that fear you, right? My sex life is so good. I just love it. I know that I'm fully expressed there. Can we transpose or learn from one another of our life and bring it to one another, business and money? So can we transpose or learn from one area of our life and bring it to another? Yes, business and money. Exactly. So here's the thing. So you have safety there. Clearly, if your sex life is amazing and you're fully expressed there, you have full safety within that relationship, right? So in that safety, I want you to begin to recognize who you are with that safety. Your partner believes that you guys also have a great sex life and he sees you or she sees you as your fullest expression of yourself and appreciates that. I want you to see how you're expecting other people to do that outside of yourself in your business and money. Are you leading with pure pleasure there? When you go into pleasure with your partner, you're there. You're there. You are not afraid to lead with what you want. You are not afraid to, open up in the ways that you're meant to be opening up. You're not afraid of anything. But I want you to see what your fears are when you get outside of that safety net that has been created there. The safety that you have within each other. And when it's you, this is why creating the safety within yourself is so important. That it's not based on anyone else, but when you begin to express yourself like you express yourself there, right? When you begin to create that safety and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so in love with my business, I'm so in love with life, and begin to move the way you move in the bedroom. If you begin to move the way you move in the bedroom in your business, things will operate very differently because you will have power that you did not have before. You will have the trust in yourself. You will be actually leading with what lights you up and what's desirable for you in your business. And you will know that you are safety. You are it. You leading with your pleasure is safety, because what does it actually create? More opportunities, more money, more power, more magnetism. I don't know what's safer than that, right? When we look at the frustration, when we look at pleasure and satisfaction, it's so funny because we're so hesitant to go into business and be like, I'm leading with desire and pleasure because it's going to bring me these things. What we begin to look at is, if I do that, will it? And what could happen? What shame do I have instilled? What fears and doubts do I have that could actually work? When really the universe is like, do this, check, 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 and you will. But you have to be fully expressed and you have to fully trust yourself, right? This isn't like, kind of, I'll do it a little bit and then I'll back out, right? We're all in. You are you. You are authentic. You are powerful. You are expressed. You are leading with desire, no doubt. Whereas if you're like, okay, well, I'll do this one with desire and that program works and I don't know what worked there but didn't work here, well, I guarantee all of a sudden you have these doubts. You are not safe. You do not feel safe. You are not lit up. You are not lighting up your life. You are not leading your life in pleasure. You are not receiving pleasure from other areas outside of your business. You are not bringing pleasure into your business, right? It has to be that full circle. It has to be all encompassing. It can't be here and not there. That's why looking at those containers of health and relationship and expression and friendships and home or whatever are all check, 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 clean. Not frustrated here, because what happens is the exact same thing in pleasure and business. If we can't bring pleasure into our business, we're frustrated. What's going to happen when we're frustrated? Misalignment. What's going to happen? Low magnetism, low power, low money. That's what's going to happen. So if we allow yourself to understand that you hold the safety, people will respond well to what you're putting out, and stop having an expectation of how that's going to show up in your world and just doing the thing and going all in and trusting yourself, because when we do that, you will receive. There are no questions, there are no doubts, but we have to be really honest and real and be like, well, am I actually leading a business of desire? Do I really desire to do that? Do I really desire to show up like that? Do I really desire this thing? Do I really seek pleasure from what I'm doing? Am I really receiving pleasure? It's just as important for you to be receiving pleasure from what you're doing than what you're giving out, right? So if I'm a receiver of that and I'm receiving the pleasure, it's like, okay, well, like I'm full of pleasure. I received it. It's great. Are you? Are you? If you're working with me, if I'm your client, are you receiving pleasure from me? Because you have to be lit up. If you're like, oh my gosh, that Amy, I can't, really don't want to go on a call with her right now, right? It's not going to work. It's not going to work. So you have to look at your business right now and you have to go in and be like, is there pleasure in all of these areas? And if not, what do I need to create for pleasure? What do I need to bring in? What do I need to activate? And how do I get myself to express myself? How do I create the safety within myself? And it's looking back on those experiences of where you connected shame, where you just dip in and dip out, where you don't let yourself go all in because of what could happen. You know what could happen? You could be a millionaire. You know what could happen? You could have your biggest month ever. You know what could happen? You could have the most pleasure in your life and the most amount of impact and income at the exact same time. Because that's how you're meant to be operating. So if we actually just lean into how you're meant to be, it's all going to work. It's all going to work. I literally my computer just popped up a message being like, alignment recommended. I'm literally not even kidding you right now. From my printer. For best print quality, align your new cartridges. Alignment recommended. So even my computer is speaking right now. Alignment recommended in order for your business to take off the way you're desiring it to. You cannot dip your toe in and expect your business to be booming right now. You cannot have frustration in your business that is self-created. We need to take radical responsibility here and be like, oh my gosh, I need to let go of this person. This VA is not lighting me up. These clients are not my people right now. This money doesn't feel like I'm getting anything back from it. This program, I don't even want to run it, but I'm launching it. And I'm sending myself into a tizzy right now, being like, I'm so frustrated. I don't even want to run the program. I don't like my branding. I don't like my clothes. I don't like my expression of myself. I don't like how I'm showing up. I don't like that my relationship is on the rocks right now, right? Like, what is it in your life that you need to bring in and you need to be like, yes, 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 this feels good. All areas need to be clean. All areas need to be yeses. Not all areas will be hell yeses, but if you can extract the frustration and create a solution for that frustration, it's going to get cleaned up. Right? We have to be bringing into the universe and our leadership that I do not settle. I don't settle. I don't settle for a bad sex life. I don't settle for no pleasure in my world. I don't settle for frustration. I don't settle for a mad business. I don't settle for mad clients. I don't settle. Okay? I don't settle. So I want you to ask yourself right now, where am I not letting myself go all in? Is it your relationships, or is it your pleasure, your sex? Is it creativity where you're like, "Oh, I'm just not letting myself have fun and be creative"? You're probably not having fun. If you are not in your creative zone, you are not just not having fun. And that literally, that does not have to be business related. That could be, again, like Liz and her flowers. She loves creativity through flowers. It could be your house, it could be your clothes. Are you not expressed? Are you not authentic? Right? Go back to the last two recordings. I was going to call them episodes. So I want you to connect with yourself more, right? And connect with this pleasure, with this sexual energy. Who is she? Who is she? When you are fully expressed, when you are energetically and creatively expressed, who is she? How does she show up? And I want you to go back to, that fully expressed you, if you had that experience in your teenage years of that person who was all in, all out. She was big. She was powerful. The funny thing about our teenage years is, although it develops so much shame, you're so confident, right? When that sacral is lit up, you're like, I'm here and I'm doing the thing and I'm dressing the way I want to dress and I'm going to go dance and have fun. And you're like, I'm confident. You're confident in your decisions. You're confident in your moves. Let's bring that aspect of her back to you. For the ones that were completely shut down and people pleasers, I want you to notice how terrible that felt and start to begin to please yourself. Lead with pleasure within yourself. When you lead with pleasure within yourself, you are rewriting the codes that you need to please people in order for everything to be okay. You please yourself. When you are full of pleasure, everything else aligns. Everyone else lights up. Everyone else is happier. You are the life of the party. You are the middle of the party. You are the attractor. You are the magnet. You are the magnetism. If you are not magnetized by your own world, your magnetism is low. Opportunities, people, wealth, all of the things will not enter your world when your magnetism is low. It is your job to create that, to seek that, to move with that in your world. So how does it feel when you visualize yourself? Who are you? How are you showing up? When you can start to create this visual, you can start to step into her, right? You can start to allow yourself to express yourself the way you really want to. I want you to be prepared that there are going to be people that are like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? That are going to try to repress you and shut you down again, just like you experienced in the past. There will be. But you hold enough safety and power to trust yourself to know that when I'm in alignment, I feel good. When I'm in alignment, things eventually will work out. When I'm in alignment, I will do the things that I desire to do and it will be beneficial for everyone. You hold that safety. I want you to know that as you step into that and as you move into that, it can take some time, right? It's not going to happen overnight. So with that and trust yourself and to move with grace. This is a really important thing when we're building these incredible, powerful leadership roles, is to move with grace, right? There could be something that we really want to, again, look at these containers of our lives, right? So it's one thing for you to be like shaking your butt and like going all in, and that doesn't represent your brand, but you love your brand, but you do that with your girls, right? Like your girlfriends, you have a night and it is fun and you are expressed and you are doing the thing and you are lit up. Are we good? You show pieces of that, right? You show pieces of that, but you don't need to all of a sudden incorporate that into your brand if you're like, that doesn't feel good in my brand. That doesn't feel good for me to show on the internet, right? We want to weave grace into everything that you're doing. We want to weave integrity into everything that you're doing. And we don't want to just be like, well, I can swear, so I'm going to go swear everywhere. I'm going to swear to rebel. We're not going back to the rebellious stage. We're going back to the fully expressed woman that you are. The sexy, powerful woman that you are. Not the little girl, not the teenager that's rebelling against all of the things she shouldn't be doing. The one that is like, I know what lights me up. And what lights me up, I'm going to own. And I'm going to own it with grace and integrity and power. And that is alignment. When you begin to shift into that world, all of a sudden people respond differently because you're not doing it to get a reaction. You are not doing it to see how they respond. You're doing it out of your own response, right? Could you speak about finding the right balance between pleasing ourselves and not overdoing it either? Yes. So, because a lot of you will also have this fear of being selfish, right? Of it being selfish, of the work that you're doing, of the pleasure that you're seeking, of all of the things that feel good feel selfish. So I want you to know that like the balance will be there when you can be like, also finding pleasure outside of things that just make you happy. So, if you have children, for example, taking them to the zoo because the pleasure that you seek and the joy that you get from seeing their faces lit up, right? From seeing them so happy. So I want you to look outside of yourself in order to move forward, again, with that grace and that integrity and that womanhood. Because again, we're not little girls that are selfish. We're not teenagers that is all about me and you're welcome to my world, it's all about me. We're not doing that. We're being woman. Right? Now you're a woman who's owning her expression and her power and her joy and her happiness. So to see the difference between, okay, well, I actually can look outside of myself and see all of the areas that bring me joy. And that's where you're going to be able to push this out into leadership too, right? So when a client is lighting you up, to ensure that they're lit up too, that this feels good for them too, right? We want to be giving and taking. Think about sex. We want to do the dance. We don't want to just be that woman that's like, thanks, bye-bye. And we also don't want to overgive and be like, I got nothing and I'm upset. Right? We want to have the dance where it's a duality, where you're getting, you're receiving, you're going, you're moving. Your energy type is actually to also provide for other people, right? So I'm getting something from you. So you want to notice the difference where it's just single-handed and you're the only one benefiting versus let's see who else can benefit from this joy. Let's see how I can respond and benefit from other people's joy. Because other people, potentially you're a gift giver. So I find a lot of MGs and Gs are big in gift giving because they just love to see other people receiving things from them and how much joy they get from other people being joyful from their gift, right? So all of a sudden this new understanding of what joy and pleasure means outside of you just receiving it for you. So I want you to look into, that balance there of like when it's your lane and when you're seeking joy from other people. And then I want you to really start doing this active sacral work. So the response strategy is now confusing me. Maybe you covered it already. So when we respond, we're responding to what is brought into our world. We're also people that are able to seek responses, right? Yes, for sure. So you are going to get those responses from outside of you, but you also create your alignment, right? So when we think of alignment, so for example, COVID was a perfect example. Sacrals were being completely shut down. They can't go see their friends. They can't go do this. They can't go do that. They can't go on dates. They can't go to restaurants. They can't go to stores. They can't, whatever, they can't. So what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to seek pleasure in my day, right? I'm going to go to the beach. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to call my friend. So it's about creating the pleasure in your life. You can look for opportunities that are in your world rather than it just showing up, sitting there waiting. We don't want to be waiting. We want to be creating. We are creators. We are creators of a reality. We are creators of pleasure. We are creators of output. So you get to create that too. Right? You get to look for it. This isn't about force. This isn't about struggle. This isn't about masculine. It's not about, I need to find something now. It's like, ooh, let's look around and what could I do? Does that bring me excitement? Does going for a walk right now bring me joy? Then don't do it. Then do it, right? Does ordering food and having a delicious night, well, I didn't get the response to go, something didn't come to me to tell me to order food, but I was like, all right, let's order food. Let's have a sweet, beautiful night. Let's play music and light candles, right? That's desire. That's pleasure. That is leadership of your own desire and pleasure. Otherwise, you're just sitting around waiting. That's not leadership, right? So yes, you respond to things that come in. When you do those things that create desire-based outcomes for you, the universe will bring you more and more and more and more things to respond to that get you more lit up. So as we go into creating more pleasure and bringing more pleasure into your world and desire, imagine this magnetic pull. So let yourself be truly present in the moment. And how truly happy are you? How does it feel to be living for yourself and not someone else? So I want you to imagine you literally have this magnetic pull inside your body, okay? So your sacral is going to be the magnet. So what happens is when you create that beautiful dinner that you created, right, and you are so lit up by, you're pulled towards it. As you get pulled towards it, something else comes into your world and people get pulled towards you. So maybe you've set this delicious meal for your partner and you're like, I'm just so happy and it's so beautiful and it's so lovely and I'm so happy. And all of a sudden your partner's like, you're irresistible tonight. I can't take my eyes off of you. Let's not eat dinner, right? So that is the magnet. That is the magnet. So sometimes we create and amplify that magnet from what we do. And other times there's just this opportunity that comes in, right? Where somebody's like, will you be on our podcast? And I'm like, I would love to be on your podcast. It's the most incredible thing that I've ever had in my entire life. Yes, 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 yes. But you will not get those opportunities if you don't create the happiness for you first. It's alignment first, and then everything else finds you. Does that make sense? So you are the magnet. So if your job is to sit here and be like, I am meant to live the most pleasurable life that I've ever had. I am meant to be up-leveling my world of pleasure, and things are going to find me. Listen to the chatter of doubt. You can't have that. You can't do that. That's too easy. Why would that work for you? That makes no sense. Your reality is you create all of the pleasure and desire in your life. You become the magnet. They will find you. They will find you. And you get to respond to what finds you. But you create the happiness first. You are the magnet, right? You are the magnet. But if you are not magnetic in your world, if you're looking around and you're like, how truly happy are you? And you're like, well, I don't know. I've got like 5 buckets right now that are full of frustration. And I only have two satisfied ones. You're not very happy. You are not a very strong magnet. You're a very weak magnet. I don't mean you're weak, but your magnetism is very weak, right? You're not attracting it. So we need to shift things in your being, in your life that are full of pleasure and desire. It can be as simple as your coffee in the morning and up-leveling your coffee experience to really enjoy it, to be like, this experience of breakfast and coffee is so pleasurable for me. It could be your dinner experience. It could be your workout experience. Get dressed in some cute clothes and go work out, right? It could be a rockin' red lipstick while you're sweaty as hell. Like, what is it that you're like, I love me. I love what I'm doing. It could be blasting music when you are in your sweatpants and having a dance party all of a sudden, out of the blue. And you're like, I just love my life. This is not about buying things. This is not about looking for things that will seek and fill voids in your system. This is about what brings me happiness. How do I elevate this magnetism? What desires do I have in my world, and how am I fulfilling them from what I desire? Not to fulfill a void, right? Not to fill a void, but to fulfill your satisfaction. Okay, and then I want you to really identify, and then pleasure first. So pleasure first and then work. So if you were someone that's like, I'm so frustrated in work, did you please yourself first? Were you full of pleasure before you began? Again, it could be that coffee at the beginning of the day. It can be sex. It can be self-pleasure. It can be a walk. It can be sleeping in. It can be a hot shower. It can be a beautiful bubble bath. Bring pleasure to your world before work. Always, always, always. These are the leaders that go first. You lead first with pleasure again and again and again and again. Your work is going to feel so much juicier. Yes, elevator, magnetism with satisfaction and pleasure. Yay, pleasure first, then work. Yes. And then start to notice that frustration. So what is coming up first is a pleasure or frustration. What do you do about it? And then not getting in your own way. Are you getting in your own way, or you're not getting in your way? Or is the frustration getting in your way, right? So for example, not getting your way, you're like, I didn't get my way today, right? I didn't get my way. It didn't go as planned. Well, did you go and have pleasure first or not? Right? Or are you seeking pleasure from that moment? Are you seeking a solution for what created the frustration? What's going on there? We get to create the solutions. We don't fill the buckets with avoidance, and we don't go seek in order to fulfill something that is not bringing us happiness. Okay? So pleasure in your world, amplifying your pleasure, bringing in these, really becoming identified with your sexual expression and your sexual pleasure, and we need to bring the sacral to a lively, lively state, okay? But do the unsexy work. What is stopping you? Where are you fearing? On the kitchen table. Sorry. Where are you fearing or doubting yourself? Where are you afraid of judgment? What is happening in your life and in your world right now that is frustrating you? that is not allowing you to be that expression? What voices are going on in your head of doubt that is filling you? And where are you reverting back to either the people-pleasing you or the sexually wild you, right? That was doing it out of rebellion. And we welcome the woman. We welcome the woman. We step into womanhood with pleasure, with sex, with identification of expression and creativity, of leading with pleasure, and being aware of what solutions are going to be created from whatever is creating misalignment and frustration. I lead first with pleasure. This is so good. I want it. I want to see all of you guys activating me and bringing you into your worlds of pleasure, whatever that looks like for you. Start sharing that. Start simplifying it. This water literally gave me life today. I could not be happier with how cold my water is, right? This is it. That simple. That simple. Add some red lips, do your thing, start expressing, start playing with your expression of who you really are, and start letting that woman shine through. You will become an absolute magnet when you move from that little girl, whether she's self-pleasing or whether she is a people pleaser, whether she's a teenager that is rebellious, whether it is in the young adulthood, her 20s, who just feels lost and just seeking that validation and attention, to the woman. The woman. So, you beautiful woman, I cannot wait to see you out on the internet. I cannot wait to be back with you on Thursday about money, honey, and then our celebration on Tuesday, which we are celebrating each and every one of you. So go do the work. Go do the work. Let me know what is coming through, and actually post a photo of your most womanly, pleasurable you. Whether that's simplified, whether that is glammed, whether it is expressed, whether it is quiet. Who is she? Let's see her. I love you guys. Have a beautiful day, and we'll talk to you on Thursday.